All right, now for the intro or the secondary intro. Hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ. Had a little internet spike here. I'm hoping that it goes away. It seems to be settled out. Couldn't get online with my streaming software, but I am here. Hello, everyone. Greetings again. Banat, I hope I'm pronouncing that, and shitlords, Shy Squad, Heathen. Thank you very much for being here. Today is Future Friday. Today, of course, we're going to be talking about the tabletop role-playing game Obsidian Star. A little bit of the setting, but really what we really want to get into is character creation. And while we're doing that, of course, I also want to express my heartfelt thank you for being here and just being part of this endeavor and to go into his description, and of course for you guys that are like, what am I even talking about? It's the idea of creating a tabletop role-playing game. I am a consummate I have a passion for hard science fiction, and hard science fiction many times in role playing games is quite difficult um, to wrap our heads around because uh, um, a lot of the limitations of doing like a hard sci-fi setting is the fact that it feels like the most cinematic things we've seen in television and movies and things like that don't fit. And I always like a bit of a challenge and like to embrace it. But here's the problem: there are plenty of science fiction games. I'm wearing a T-shirt that describes one of those, a book and television series and a role playing game, Obsidian. Altered Carbon. And one of the difficult things about science fiction is that many of them are very complex. And I wanted to have a try to create a rules light system, something easy to for people to dip their toe into, and still embraces the socio techno ethno philosophy of the setting. Woo, that's a lot to say. Uh, horrible elevator pitching, but that's the thing. Uh, Yeah, give all that character creation to Hey Drew. Yes, we did get right into it. Yeah. Heathen says a hard sci-fi, not as fun as space opera. Yeah. Still enjoy it. I'm eager for tonight's episodes. Okay, cool, cool, cool. And Banana says, speaking of hard sci-fi, what was the term you used for suspended disbelief? An ask, you called it? Yes, it's an ask is a shortened form of asking the participants to forgive the ridiculousness of something. So, and oftentimes in television and movies and books and things like that, the author will have what my friends and I, we would call them an ask. It's basically, listen, let's all assume vampires exist, right? Or let's presume we have time travel, or let's presume aliens arrived in the atmosphere on Earth. Those things are asks. It's I'm asking the participant, the consumer, to go, listen, this is ridiculous, but from this point on, we're going to take everything else pretty seriously. And then that's so the ask is, yes, this doesn't really exist, but then the rest of it is, but we're going to speculate as to what the rest of it. And so that's it. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Forgive the ridiculousness. Yep, literally read my mind exactly how I describe it. Exactly. So, if you watch a time travel movie, just an example, right? You watch a time travel movie, we go, okay, Marty McFly, Back to the Future. Time travel doesn't exist, but if it did, and then we extrapolate from that, right? And then we have some fun with it. Yes, it's a comedy movie, but and coming of age story as well. But it's that's what an ask is. I'm asking you, just look the other way on this one fact because I know it's not real, but the rest of it, let's look at it a little bit. Drew says I watched only the first season of Altered Carbon. As much as I usually love that genre, something didn't click there with me. It was a little bit Altered Carbon. A little bit Netflixy, uh, like weirdly low budget in some areas, spent money in other areas. So yeah, s- very strange. Okay, so you guys are going to have to put your creative juice hats on. We're going to delve right on into it. So we're going to create a character for Obsidian Star, and I want to let you know that it is completely unfinished. Actually, let me move. Let me change this around so there's a little bit more space here so you can see it. I suppose I could. Wow, maybe I should make this a larger font. All right, we gotta we're gonna bust this font up a little bit taller, a little bit bigger, so it's a little bit more visible, and that's it. All right, boom, boom, boom. So let's get into the basics of the die mechanic, and so you understand maybe some of the numbers involved. So mathematically speaking, actually, I'm probably going to put this in a sidebar at some point. But mathematically speaking, rolling a d12, each pip on a d12 is 8 and 1/3%. So um, in Dungeons and Dragons in a D20 system, every pip on a D20 is 5%. So a +3 would be 15%. A +5 would be 25%. In a D12 system, it's 8 1/3%. So 8 1/3 plus 8 1/3 plus 8 1/3 is like 25% ish high. So a um +3 in this game is like max. It's the highest max bonus you're probably going to receive because it's like a 25% bonus. It's like a +5 in Dungeons and Dragons from any multiple sources, and the numbers in this do not go high because it's only a D12. So you're not going to see very large numbers. Instead, it's a very broad system. So as you can see here, singularity system, because ones always succeed and 12s are always fails. So if you roll a 1 and a 7, the 1 is always a success. There's no matter how you modify it, you roll a nat 1, it you get that success. And then same thing with 12. If you roll a 12, it's a failure. But there's numbers in between. So it's a D12 roll high, not over system. So you're going to have numbers for your character sheet, and you want to roll higher than your opponent, or what we call a conundrum. You want to roll a problem and solution. You'll see that later on. You want to roll high, but not over. So two characters arm wrestling, right? And one's got a strength version of 5 and another one's got a strength version of 8. Both of them want to roll higher than the other, but the one with a 5, if they roll above a 5, they lose. It fails. The other one, if they roll above an 8, they lose. So it is possible for the lower strength person to roll higher than the higher strength individual, but you don't want to roll over. It's like gambling. It's like high but not over. Nat ones always succeed, 12s always fail. Double ones are a galactic success, double 12s are a galactic failure. Galactic success, basically, we put the dice down in a way and then just describe what the hell you want to do. It's literally a galactic success. People hear from far and wide. If whatever you were trying to do affects millions, billions, or even trillions, it happens. Same thing with double 12s in the opposite direction. The failure isn't just a failure on your part, but it could affect hundreds of thousands, millions, billions, even trillions. It is literally like um, does the idea behind it my the idea behind doing that is to basically make it like, guess what, hey player, you get to describe exactly what you want to do, or the game master, the spiral gets to decide whatever it happens. Let's see what their coworkers have to say. Um, yeah, yeah. How can you say that Back to the Future is not real? Have you not bought your hoverboard in 2015? Oh man, so many. Oh, that movie just makes you dream about like real anti-gravity hoverboards. And the minute hoverboards came out, it was just like, yeah, I don't care that they have wheels on them, right? Shai says, "Do you appraise shows and budgets based on shows and movies based on budget?" Sometimes I do, because I'll forgive how it's built, right? Like if I know something was designed and it was really cheap, I'll forgive some of the issues with it. It's why I'm a fan of Altered Carbon, right? Um, there was something in it that like kind of it didn't really fill me, but yeah. Taste of Banana says, you call an opponent conundrum in this, but you're talking about a person and not a thing. Um, uh, uh, Anything that is in front of a player character that is challenging them is a conundrum. So I'm using the word capital C conundrum in terms of like, um, do they have to open a lock on a door? Are they piloting a ship? Is there someone about to punch them in the face? All of that is a conundrum. All that is standing in the way of their goals, and then they have to navigate through them. I'm new. I'm new to the system. It's counterintuitive to me to want to roll high, but rolling double 12 is failure, and double ones is a nat success. Not a bad thing. Just yeah, just new to your brain. Exactly. I listen. I I mold this in my head plenty of times, and I was like, do I really? Oh, should I just keep going ascending or descending? Right? Because you can have a descending system. Because I thought about making it a literal singularity system. Roll everything's roll low, but rolling low is counterintuitive as well. So I wanted to keep the roll high, make sense that it's better, but I want to embrace the but how do you there's two ways to get crits by rolling high but not over, and that's making doubles or achieving a singular number. And we all love singular numbers. On a d20, it's a 1 or a 20. One fails, 20 is a success. I thought about making 12 successes and one's failures, but I like singularities. I I wanted to what's it called? Bound the accuracy down, and having an add up system means that everybody will want to add towards 12 and go number hunting towards 12 instead of dealing with the bounded accuracy going between 1 and 12, if that makes sense. I know that. Ooh, okay. Um, so here's what we're going to do. Your basic action, and you pick an attribute and an approach noted below. You roll d12. I mean 2d12. Pick one die that's high but not over an attribute. Pick the other die that is high but not over the approach. That's the basis of doing 99% of everything in the game. It's possible that an action can have both a success and failed outcome. So you could both um, roll within your number range on one of your either your attribute or approach, and then fail on the other one. So if you are a character and you are unskilled, each time you succeed, you have 1 point for a solution. So I use the word conundrum, and a conundrum is made of a problem and a solution. So the problem will have a number range, or most likely have a number range. Hey, I want to lock pick the door. That number value might be 3. So when you are done picking the lock on the door, or programming it, or whatever, or busting the door down, getting through that door, when 3 points have been fulfilled. So if you are unskilled, each success that where you roll high but not over is 1 point if you're unskilled. If you have a capable skill, I changed the wording, and I'll probably change the wording again. If you are capably skilled, that's oh here I should do this +1 because maybe that if you have a +2, and then how about a +3, and then ooh, that looks weird. Anyway, if you have a capable skill, the lowest success die, you use the lowest success die roll. And the wording is, I really effed up the wording. Use. All right, it's bothering me now. Yeah, this is the kind of thing when you that allows me to look like a fool, so you don't have to. All right. So if you're capably skilled, you roll both dice. If they both succeed, you use the lowest one. If you're an expert skill, if both succeed, you use the highest of the two dice. And If you have a supreme skill and they both succeed, you add both dice together. So a person who has a supreme skill, basically they're like a 1 in a million, maybe 1 in a billion individual, and they roll a 4 and a 7. You get to add them both together, and you reduce that problem by 11 points. That kind of thing. Come on, Jesus, why is it not letting me? There we go. I guess I'm gonna have to do it this way. Combat is the exact same thing. Unarmed combat, 1 point per success. Use a light weapon, use the lowest die. Medium weapon, use the highest die as long as it's successful. And heavy weapons, you use both. Physical attacks, skill use, and social interactions from dice rolls subtract from the problem and create a solution when reduced to 0. That's exactly it. And a problem is basically anything in a character's way. Do you need to use numbers and rolls and all? No. If the whole point is the players need to jump across a crevice and you just want to see if they get at least one success, that's perfectly fine. If it is a rolling challenge, a rolling challenge could be convincing a guard, or again, in the heat of battle, trying to pick that lock. That's a rolling challenge. Could you do it in one turn of combat or something? Yes, but maybe it takes a little bit longer and it's a little bit of an issue. It becomes this conundrum. Is like, do I stop and start shooting my pistol, or let my allies defend me while I try to pick the lock, right? And so that's one of the issues. It says, note when confronted with a conundrum, any failed die roll to solve the problem, and these are capitals, a roll of a d12 that is above an attribute or an approach reduces the PC's strive by 1 for each die that is too high. And we'll get into what strive is. So for example, you are picking the lock and you are failing the roll. The stress of it will reduce what is the stat called strive. No, it sounds a little bit odd. I was going to use the word drive, but we have the word drive for other reasons, like engines and star drives, and I didn't want to connect the two. So strive is like striving forward, is there, because there's every excuse in this game to not strive forward. So that's what it is. I see what you have to say. Skip past lexicon and start writing stuff down. Yeah, yeah, Heathen, I'm with you, man. I was disappointed when the hoverboards had wheels. I am that way too. Shai says, do you get into much backstory during character creation, or is it even necessary? Like, was everybody born on some ship or colony anyway? We will get into backstory, yes. And Heathen says, well, I don't think the system is complicated. We'll have to see it in action, to understand it. I like calling challenges conundrums. Helps the mood of the game. Yes. And I want it. I'm using conundrum. So while I'm describing this, I'm doing the why the hell did I decide to do that system? And it could be why did I change from what I just decided to do system? So the reason for calling everything problems and solutions, conundrums, is that murder killing and being creative have the exact same mechanical feature. So, could characters sit in an alley and use, I don't know, X-ray lasers and blast enemies down at the other end of the hallway to just murder kill them? Yes, that will solve the problem. Could another character go, hey, I want to hack into the broadcast system and use its power to control the robots to attack each other? Could that solve the problem? The answer is yes. So someone else could say, hey, I'm going to slide over and hit the emergency release to quickly dump the oxygen out of the room and evac everyone into space, and we're just going to hold on, right? Just getting here. In the last few minutes, it feels like I'm drowning in terminology for the sake of terminology. Yes, you are. You are. Okay, so we're gonna quickly go past the lexicon. I should have made this a little bit smaller, but whatever. All right, so setting lexicon: zippers or cortical stacks that go in the back of your brain. It records everything that you are and what you are about. There we go. A jacket is your body. It's your frame, your body, your morph. It's your biological or mechanical body. So a zipper and a jacket click together. The zipper's your mind, your jacket's your body. um, it is slang terminology. Six shooters are spaceships. They are fractional ownership spaceships. So up to six smaller craft are attached to a larger craft known as the six shooter. Everyone collectively spends money on the fuel to go from one place to another. The six shooter attaches all of the cargo or craft or whatever to it, and then it spins, creating gravity. And the the smaller crafts can go down airlocks and talk to each other and converse and socialize. Um, it's an excuse to have social interactions and dramas and other conundrums happen on a way from A to B. Ice fire engines burn water. Basically, this is the ask. This is the fake technology that I have, where through some hyper electrolysis, water is separated into liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen. It's under super high pressure, thrown down a electromagnetic tube of sorts, and not just burned, but basically ignited in a atomic fire. Um, and of course, the reason, there's a reason why I wanted to have literally burning the foundations of life to be the fuel that creates life here. So to travel from one place to another, um, is a is a risk. Blueprints are used. It's an old world word to describe programs that assemble 3D printed objects. So instead of traveling through space, players could beam their brains from one place to another. So instead of hoarding objects, you can go to a distant space station and print things out. And everyone still uses the term blueprints, even though technically they're not real blueprints. They're like three-dimensional programs. Buttons are cell phones in this world. A button can be implanted. A button could be on your wrist. It's like I say, a small fob, badge, or pin that is today like an old world cell phone plus an AI assistant. Threads or tangled threads are the broken, modified, missing, or um, overlapping neurological memory and behavioral errors primarily due to zipping into multiple jackets. In other words, the human brain wasn't designed for us to have multiple bodies. It wasn't designed for us to be able to edit our memories. It wasn't designed for us to live eternally. And so you end up getting tangled threads, and it goes along with the thread, zipper, jacket, button motif. Um, and this is pronounced Taylor with a capital P on the front. A Taylor, the P is silent, is a psychological artist. It's more like an art than a science that can untangle, repair, and fill the empty spaces of those who suffer from body dysmorphia and techno dissonance. So people who suffer, switching bodies, and player characters are heroes. So switching bodies and things like that is a bit of an issue, and sometimes you need to see a tailor to untangle the complex web in your brain. Um, you guys, here are your first attributes. There's only three of them, and it's vector, arc, and axis. Excuse me. These I did write down what they kind of represent. I'm going to rewrite it as well. But vector is direct, arc it circumnavigates situations, and axis plots its way. So these three attributes represent your physical, your mental, and your social status in the world. So, for similarities, if you have to have a similarity with a D20 game, Vector is most similar to Strength and Charisma. Arc is most directly related to Dex and Wisdom, and Axis is related to Intelligence and Con. So, it's physical, it's mental, excuse me, emotional, social, um, that kind of thing. And then lastly, it's your approaches. You're going to pick three approaches for your character. So, an attribute plus an approach, you roll 2d12. You want to roll high, but not over. Um, it's how a star and NPCs use an action. Use There are six approaches, and you pick three of the six. There's a bold, swift, subtle, focused, careful, and wild. So, for example, a bold individual draws attention to themselves when they perform that action. Perform an action. Swift means you're fast in performing that action. You're doing it fast, but not paying attention. You just want to accomplish it very quickly. Subtle means you're trying to hide what you're trying to do. Focused means you're focusing on one thing and ignoring everything else. Careful is you are um, careful sounds like what it means. It means that you're trying to accomplish something, but not have any extraneous side effects happen. You don't want to knock things over, hurt other individuals, destroy things, beat that kind of such. And then wild is similar to bold, swift, and wild. Kind of are in a category of their own. Wild is like you're just trying to get it done, and you don't care how you do it. Um, and when you use an approach, you are not using any of the other approaches. So if you're being subtle, you are not being bold, swift, wild, focused, or careful. If you're being careful, you are not also being focused, wild, subtle. You're not being the other ones, if that makes sense. Right. So you may, and there it does seem similarities, and you get to choose. So you could say, well, isn't careful and focused the same thing? Maybe if you're being careful and you're trying to pick the lock, you don't want to set off the alarm. And you also don't want to be heard, but you also don't want to drop your tools. You're being careful. But if you're being focused, maybe you don't notice there are guards walking around or notice you set off the alarm or something like that. And then if you're being subtle, you don't want to be noticed while you're picking the lock, but you might not at the same time your care and focus involved in it is a little bit because you're just trying to be quiet. You don't want to be noticed. So let me get back into what you guys have to say. Yeah, thank you very much for bringing that up. I'm gonna bring up something else too. Druden says, so can one? So one can boldly sneak. The answer to that is no. You can't. And this is going to be this is the hard part in describing rules. You can't use an approach unless that approach. How to explain it? Wow, and this is the difficult thing that I'm going to have to explain in writing to other people without me being there. Um, you can only use an approach that has a um, what's the way to describe it? Has its appropriate results within the fiction. So you say, can you boldly sneak? The answer to that is you would end up failing in that endeavor, right? If you boldly sneak, that means you're letting everybody know I'm sneaking. If you're being bold, you're letting everyone know what you're doing. So a bold action, a bold physical action is pushing through a crowd and knocking people down, or screaming and yelling, or standing up in the middle of a gunfight and just firing wildly where everyone sees you. So a bold action means everyone gets to see what you're doing. If you say you're going to try to sneak, you're essentially telling everyone that you're going to fail your action. So I have to. There is narrative thrust to it, and I have to figure out how to describe that in as few words as possible. Uh, yeah, yeah, it's just it. You're not wrong there. Yeah, shitlord says so. With buttons, people are pretty much watching prawn all day. Yes, 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 absolutely. Yeah, yeah, dead man. The six shooters. Yes, there's some other like sci-fi western type things that made me think of six shooters, but I like that. Yeah, yeah. There is a type of money, but not. Yes. Hey, Mike, what's going on? Mm-mm-mm. Do they have credit cards here? They do have a monetary system, but there's two types of monetary systems. One is the super boring one, credits and all that kind of stuff. But you would like bricks. You would very much like bricks. Yeah, I'm with you there, dead man. You said. telling Mike that you'd hate eclipse phase. Then yeah, there's a lot of terminology. Yeah. Oh man. Oh man. Yes. Sneaking up on people is inherently bold. Um, not in this concept. Taste of Banana said, "Did you say bricks?" I did say bricks. Um, let's see. How can I say this very quickly? Bricks are the slang term for um, sealed containers that are used or were used and still are being used in this science fiction setting that keep track of the volume, weight, mass, and density of objects. So when you go into space, it was very necessary to find out how much something weighed and how big it was. You stuck it in a sealed container. It People start calling them bricks. Um, as space travel became more and more for the masses, everyone wanted to know, what did you bring up into space in your brick? Sometimes it would be family photos, playing cards, chocolates, gold bars, um, uh, illicit drugs, money, your favorite prawn, all those kind of things, and people would put them in their bricks. Well, through time, people die. There's accidents. People lose track of their bricks. So you have these warehouses filled with, and people own bricks, but no one knows what's in the brick. And then it became a mystery box thing. What did you bring? If you could only bring something in a small concealed container into space and you could have nothing else, what would you bring with you? Would it be entertainment? Would it be money? Would it be something investing? Would it be medicines? What would it be? And so this socioeconomic thing came about where people would buy, sell, and trade their bricks, not knowing what's inside of it. Um, and the mystery became a value unto itself. It doesn't matter what's inside the brick. It just matters that other people think something of value is inside the brick. And then um, the mystery of not knowing what's inside increased the value of, man, if I have 7 bricks, there's no telling what I have. I bet it's extremely valuable, but someone's offering me something. It could be empty. Well, the bricks actually let you know if it's empty, but it could be empty. It could be old socks, dirty socks, or it could literally be a data core that can cure the most horrific disease. Who knows what's in it, right? And so those are bricks, and people buy, sell, and trade them, and players can also gather them and things like that. So, yeah. Um, an action is whenever a character acts, use such as a moving, attacking, using a skill, exploring, performing athletic activities, social interactions, and more. Every character has 2 actions. All stars are PCs, have 2 actions. Any combination of moving, attacking, using a device, performing a skill, dodging, dodge, and more. So a character can move twice. A character can attack twice. A character can move and then attack and then move. You could move and use a device. You can attack and then move. You could attack and then use a device. You could use a device and then move. Whatever combination. You have 2 actions. That's it. You may say, I don't have enough actions. That's the whole point. You may not have enough actions to do what you want instantly. You might have to wait it out and compare and contrast and do the cost benefit analysis in your own head. Galactic successes, galactic failures. We talked about that. A critical success is a nat 1. The star basically has a yes and moment, not only succeeding, but gaining another benefit. A critical failure is the same thing. I didn't type it out. Basically, you roll a nat 12, you get a failure. It's not only a failure, but it's a failure, but um, failure and actually doubles double. So when doubles are rolled on d12s, usually this means adding both numbers together as a success or failure. So if you roll double 4s, it acts as an 8 for whatever event, whether it's good or bad or both. So I want to pick the lock. I rolled double 4s. Not only is that, and my attribute approach is a 4 and a 7. So you roll double 4s. So instead of just doing 4, reducing the problem of that lock by 4, you doubles double. So a 4 becomes an 8. You subtract the number from the door of 8. And so if that door was a 3 problem, you could easily wipe it away. And you're also a little bit more successful than that. Maybe you now know how to unlock the other doors of this of similar type, right? Problems, the basic unit of measurement assigned a number from 1 to 12 that requires a solution, and solutions using the dice. The character capabilities and creative thinking, players navigate around through or solve problems. Here we go with death. Um, Death isn't what you think it is in other role playing games. Dead Man will understand this. Death is a temporary state in which a character can reignite, returning to life slightly changed. A star can die no more than 6 times before succumbing to the void. Basically, deletion. And deletion is permanent and eternal removal from the setting of Obsidian Star. This does not mean death, but the inability to play that character ever again. Oops. And strive, the will to continue forward in a proactive state. This is also an expendable resource and a number of points of health, stamina, endeavors, and goals. Strive is like consider it like hit points. Consider it like stress. You can also spend your strive to perform other things. Uh, yep. So guys, right now I would like you. Ooh, okay. Sorry. We have baggage. Baggage and gear. We're going to go past all this. Pockets, baggage, gear, and pockets. I always talked about bricks. I should have. Here we go. We have skill levels. So skill level of 1 is capable. Skill level 2 is expert. Skill level 3 is extreme. We have influence on the world and issues that have to deal with that. So a trivial thing is a 1. A substantial thing is a 2, and world altering is a 3. And that coincides with your skill levels and such. Stars are protagonists. Group of characters or stars are called constellations. Um, I did this the other day. Added this. Pulsars are PCs that make the most noise in the background. Quasars are the most noticeable NPCs in the setting, causing problems for the stars. Prions are the lowest form of NPC. They don't even have numbers. They might have a name, maybe, but that's about it. You don't have to put down stats for them. So, damn it, why does it keep skipping over? So, you have 3 attributes. You're going to have 12 points. Each attribute applies to physical, mental, social interactions. Divide 12 points between your 3 attributes, and they are vector, arc, and axis. So you get to divide 12 points between them. Basically, you can have an even 4 points between all 3. Doesn't sound like a lot, but I don't think you need to worry about it. You'll be able to modify them later. Um, Vector is the fastest action attribute that will get you what you want, but causes lots of collateral damage. But you will act first when using Vector. Arc, you kind of balance the two of needing to act quickly but taking care. So whenever you use your arc attribute, you act second, and then axis is your most cautious attribute, taking in all the information around you and making a logical, safe decision to perform when using that attribute. Um, and in order, vector causes the most harm around you and unintended consequences. Arc is kind of in the middle, and axis, there's very few consequences if you fail to perform something. So there isn't an initiative track. It's either you're performing a vector, an arc, or an axis attribute, and you're using that, and then whichever one you use, that's when you act in the mechanical initiative order. And there, some of the bad guys always use a vector. Some other bad guys or enemies always use arc or axis, and you may not know which ones they are. The more intelligent ones make choices, or sometimes it might even be random. So because your all of your attributes add up to 12, you start out with 12 strive. This is again like your hit points, expendable resource, bruising, that kind of thing. It's a combination of luck, vigor, energy, willpower, stamina, doggedness. You can gain and lose strive. You can lose strive in a social interaction when picking a lock or getting in a gunfight. Um, Acts as hit points and an energy source for extraordinary character capabilities. Strive will fluctuate regularly during play, rising and falling often. Strive can be recovered through connections, rest, and pursuing a motivation. Once all strive is depleted, damage and what is also known as loss subtracts from your attributes directly. Once all attributes are reduced to zero, the PC, the star, is dead. If a star, a player character, dies more than 6 times, they are unable to continue as a player character. So let's see what you guys have to say because my chat moves around. When I hear this is I like your names for things. I try I try to be a little bit of a wordsmith, maybe too much. No, well, no, definitely too much. Oh, Banal says he under Kosaku. We even ran out of bricks. Oh no, no. Oh man. Dead man. You're not normally that sarcastic here. Or, yeah, brick. Or it could be filled with dirty socks that, when processed, becomes a super cure all. Yeah. Wow, your dirty socks cured a disease. Yeah. So bricks are storage wars in spades. Yes, it is. Yeah. Yeah, Drew says maybe boldly sneaking could be that I yell behind you to distract them or otherwise create loudly a situation that lets me then vanish in the turmoil. I like that. Well, you know what? Guess what? Guess what you just did? You just played the game. Because for me, I was like, I don't know about boldly sneaking. And you were like, well, there's a way to do it. Make a create a distraction to allow you to do a thing. And I like that idea. I think it guess what? Here, wait a minute. Hold on. You get the slow clap there, Drew. You get the slow clap. But we're not done. There's actually something in here. There's actually something in here for you. Um, ooh, 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 ooh. Yep, literally a conversation about how a person can boldly sneak. Nice. I like it. I like that so much. And see, here I guess this is the thing that I embrace. Um, I can be a dumbass sometimes and not very creative at other times. That's why the hive mind is always better than the one, right? So yeah, you learn something all the time, and it always impresses me and shocks me. So if I was in the middle, if this happened in the middle of a gaming session, and I thought I knew the answer, and then that was given to me, slow clap. Yeah, yeah, hell yeah, you do that thing. So let's go with we have our 3 main attributes. Vector, arc, axis. Vector is very direct. Arc is kind of like you kind of go around the sea, like you're going there but you're kind of going around it. And then axis is like the 3-point axis, XYZ. It's like, well, I'm going to do the thing, but I want to make sure I take in all angles first. Your approaches, you pick 3 from the list of 6. Below, you divide 12 points between the 3 you have chosen. So there are 6 approaches to performing something. Your character picks basically your 3. This isn't necessarily your personality, but the the physical and material way you interact with the world, which can be based on your experiences and your personality. So the 3 you pick, like if you're a person who picks the top 3, wild, swift, and bold, you're somebody probably who draws attention to themselves, um, acts before they think, that kind of thing. Maybe you're kind of a combination of the two. So you want to pick bold, swift, but then you also want to pick focused or careful or something. And as you can see, there is a little bit of they do go in order, right? So let me move. I can't pull them all together. Okay, let's do this. I'm gonna reduce this down to 125. But hopefully, you can still see this. Yeah, it's still visible. All right. So, um, wild is above swift, which is above bold, which is above focused, above careful, above subtle, or the opposite way. You could flip this around. So the most The quietest, most secretive action you can do without being noticed is subtle. The most wild, explosive thing that you can do that's going to cause the most side effects, the most unintended consequences is wild. And then these others move kind of in the middle. Because if you take a look, focused is kind of careful, but it could be a little bit bold. And if you're bold, you could be acting maybe a little too swiftly, but you're also focused on what you want. It's there's some relationship to it. And if you, as Drew made an argument, you as a player can make the same arguments. How I'm going to describe this in a role playing game, shit, I don't know, but I'll get there. And of course, here are all the descriptors for it. Um, Bold is noticeable and attention getting action. Careful is planned and analytical action. Subtle is hidden and deceiving, or deceptive action. Um, I do that all the time. Focus is concentrated and studied action, et cetera, et cetera. And as a um, the game master, and this is never going to stick, but the game master is the spiral, related to the spiral arm. Um, the spiral gets this can decide. You know what? Your bold action really isn't appropriate for what you're trying to do, right? And then the conversation will happen. Um, so now that you divided your 12 points amongst three attributes, 12 points amongst your three approaches, that's basically your character. Now we're gonna fill this character out because we really don't know what they look like or what their background is or even why they're doing anything in this game. But we're going to need to generate another number. So every PC, every star has here we go, has pockets to carry gear and baggage. A star has a number of pockets equal to their current total attribute score, 12 at character creation. So as you advance in your character, you get more points, you have more pockets to put your gear and baggage in. Yes, these are capitalized. What's a pocket? A pocket is basically a gear slot. What do you have in your pockets? I have, your character, and it can be physical. Hey, my character has a backpack. I pull something out of my pocket. But I have something in my back pocket that I use just in case of emergency. Um, don't think of this as literal. So your connections with family and friends and allies can fit into your pockets. Um, your wealth that is being invested can fit into your pockets. Things you do not have on your body still take up a can fit into a pocket. Gear are all your good things. Gear is your equipment, your weapons. Gear also means all of your positive traits for your character. Baggage is all your negative stuff. So whenever you start taking on baggage, if you take on too much baggage, it'll actually temporarily move away some of your good things, your gear and your traits. So you have 12, you can have up to 12 so far in character creation. You don't want to fill all your pockets with stuff. But when you adventure, for example, baggage could be a concussion, baggage could be a broken leg, baggage could be a debt to a crime lord. Baggage is basically all your bad stuff. It's all your problems that you carry with you that kind of impede you and all the people around you. And it makes you forgetful. It makes you not pay attention. It means that um, you are not on your highest. So you're not in your optimal way of operating. If you take on too much baggage, eventually you won't be carrying around any of your gear or any of your positive traits. So it's a little tongue in cheek, but I wanted to find something that really describes what the hell I mean, and that's what I mean. Boo, 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 boo. See what you guys say. Mm-mm. Trying to read. Here we go. All right, here we go. Uh, when I hear, yeah, talking about beer and gravity. I think in reality they use pressure bulbs. So if you want to drink something, you squeeze it or use a pneumatic tube or something like that. He's so silly. Uh Shit, people, yeah, heathen. Humans will find a way to guzzle beer in space. Yeah, beer is part and parcel of being human, all the way back to the epics of Gilgamesh. Oh, we'll drink beer in space. Oh yeah, hell, people make beer in what toilets and stuff, in prisons and everything. We're going to have alcohol in space. Best believe. Yeah, it's this fruit brandy injected directly into your cortical stack. Weightless drinking with propriety. You godless heathens. Yeah. DBJ says, yeah, Jim made a game for girls. Now our dresses have pockets. Yes. Yes, you absolutely do. And you can put the pockets anywhere you want to. They could be big and small. Yeah. Mm-mm-mm. Yes, and Banat says traditional gender roles are obsolete in the 24th century. They sure are. And we're going to get into why that. There's a good reason for that. First of all, and Dead Man and I, we listen, and I'm picking with you, Dead Man, a little bit here. Um, Dead Man and I don't agree on a lot of things, and we both know it. But we also, strangely enough, agree on many substantial things that I think, had we not met in this way, we wouldn't have. And it's pretty ironic because we're both fans of Eclipse Phase, which is yet another uh, type of another transhumanist, post-humanist role-playing game. And I think some things that today we are literally violent about become blow away in the wind in the future. And gender roles, not just gender roles, but the idea of gender itself blows away when you're digital information. If humans could download their brains into machines, does gender not only doesn't have a role, it doesn't mean anything. It's just it's a program. It's a bit of information that you need that we never need to use again, right? Yep. Oh, Ethan, all right. Have a great one. I don't know if you want to sleep with guac next to your bed, but to each their own. Okay, so in bold here, it says, note, if every pocket is full in any combination of gear and baggage, the star temporarily has zero strive. So your strive is like your stress, it's your hit points, it's your bruising, it's the thing you use where it doesn't have, it's your countdown before you start having super negative effects. If you fill all your pockets, you lose your access to your strive. So you don't want to carry around a lot of stuff. You don't want to carry around a lot of weapons. You also don't want to carry around a lot of debt or responsibilities or stress or anger or anything like that. You don't want to have all those things. Okay, here we go. Here's the as we make our character. Here are the big things. In character creation, the player begins filling their pockets with a motivation, a location, a foundation, a vocation, a description, and connections. Woo! So, if if baggage bumps a trait to fill the pockets, that trait is temporarily unavailable. Be aware the beginning 6 traits will fill 6 of the 12 available pockets of the star. This means the traits are under threat due to self-inflicted and outside influences. This means that, let's move this here. You begin with these things. They're in your pockets, right? Your motivation. Why do you do these things? Why are you adventuring in the first place? Why are you traveling the stars? Why are you an agent? Your location, where you're from, what you places you're familiar with, the people you're familiar with from that place. Your foundation is your body, your physical body. Your vocation is your skill set. Your description is what makes you different than other people just like you. And your connections are your person, place, or things that you are connected to. These are in your pockets. This is all your gear. This is your good stuff. This makes you what you are. As if you acquire baggage, it could eventually fill your pockets and bump these out. which means you might forget your motivation. Why are you doing this in the first place? You might forget your vocation, your skills. Your mind goes blank. You can't think straight. You might even forget your foundation. You have a physical body that allows you to do a thing, and you're stunned. You're weakened. You are confused, and you don't have control over your body. You're paralyzed or something, or a body part goes numb. Maybe your location. You forget where you came from, right? You forget these things. You're in the middle of combat. You're not even thinking about it. And so, um, yes, 6 of these will fill at least 6 of your pockets. So we get to pick a motivation from a list of 6 below. This is how a PC, can recover strive. So if you burn your strive, you can recover it um, through pushing your motivation. So if your motive, as it says here, recovery is you only get 1 point if it's trivial, 2 points is substantial, and 3 points if it's world, not life altering, world altering. Um, and you'll see the motivations below. There's 6 of them. It is the alignment system if you want to go that way. And here are the. Oh, they won't all show. Okay, here let's see if we can. Come on, shit. Uh, Explore. There we go. And let's reduce. Let's reduce it down. Shit. Uh. Doesn't matter. All right. Sorry about that. So here are your motivations: explorer, um, self-explanatory, exploring the world, or exploring internally the mind, um, exploring other people's cultures and physical locations. Extropian. Extropian is the study of using technology to achieve immortality. But in this case, it is about healing, building, um, designing, using technology to create, not destroy, to heal instead of harm. Um, it's kind of the goody goody motivation if you want to give it some kind of thing. Expansionist is taking what you know and what you believe and how you live and expanding it to other places. Um, um, so if you're a human that breathes oxygen and likes Earth, you're expanding to other places to breathe oxygen, be human, and live like Earth like. Excellence is learning, training, enhancing, and confronting things to make yourself and other people better. Um, it's not necessarily like extropian and healing. It's more like pushing yourself to be better, even if it means being destructive to other things, possibly even yourself. Excellence is very personal. So it's like faster, stronger, more intelligent, that kind of thing. Expressionist is basically art, entertainment, orating, aesthetics, politics, um, uh, express expressing for other people who don't have a voice, uh, that kind of thing. So it's not just art and entertainment; it is politics. It is uh, social, what we call underdogging, fighting for the underdog, bringing a small voice loud, that kind of thing. And lastly is exploiter. It's like stealing, harnessing, trapping, caging, using, uh, maybe overusing would be a thing. Uh, Essentially, basically exploiting a resource, exploiting a people, exploiting a location, exploiting money or power and such. And these are your motivations. And you pick one. Just pick one. Um, During character advancement, you can switch your motivation. So if you go on one mission, maybe your motivation changes because you meet these long lost people and you find a desire to protect them or something. So instead of, maybe you were an explorer before you met these far flung people, but now you're an extropian and you want to help build their society. And that's during character advancement. Um, but you only pick one, and you can recover strive by engaging your motivation. So if you what's a good one? Expression. So let's say you're an expressionist and you're like, man, I love to express my voice and I want to help people and blah 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 blah, and you want to bring a voice to the people who don't have a voice. You only get 1 point if it's like a trivial thing, like maybe you meet someone who's being in in the job market and they should get a promotion, and you go to the boss and you, hey, this person needs a promotion. You can recover 1 point of strive. If it's substantial, if it's a large group of people, maybe all the employees in a corporation or all of the individuals that live in the undercity or something like that, then you can recover 2 points. If it's world altering and you're an expressionist, maybe you alter the way an entire habitat thinks about what they do. You can regain 3 strive. So it's basically like regaining world power. Damn it, let's keep moving like that. So we have to talk a little bit about death. Actually, let me get into what you guys have to say, and then we'll get into death. Dazed and confused. Yeah, get ready. Okay. You guys are so silly. All right. Lastly, let's get into it. Death is temporary, so deletion is permanent. If a star is dead, mark off a motivation and an approach. The star must pick a new motivation and a new approach. The star cannot use any eliminated choice. Once recovered from death, the approach and the motivation must be changed. The star cannot recover from death and is deleted once all approaches and all motivations are marked off and eliminated as a choice. So when your character dies, one of your approaches and your motivation changes. You come back from death a different person, but you permanently mark off that choice if you were to die again. So there's only 6 approaches, there's only 6 motivations. If you die your 7th time, you have no more choices. Your character is deleted from the game. It doesn't mean they are destroyed. Maybe they retire. Maybe they go into a coma they never recover from. Maybe their cortical stack is lost in space. Maybe they fall into, they drift in space and never to be recovered from again. Maybe they turn into a bad guy. Um, you know, maybe they self-delete out of this strange world, that kind of thing. Excuse me. When a character dies, you have 3 options. You can go Nova, you can navigate a nebula, or sink into the void. If you go Nova, basically, you say, my character is going to die, but you get to make a galactic success. If you do a nebula, um, your character gets, the star gets snuffed out, but you leave the game and then come back in a different way, and you get to decide how you come back. Does it mean your cortical stack gets recovered? Does it mean that you are a copy of yourself is re-instanced into another body somewhere? You're zipped into another jacket somewhere else, and you lost 3 weeks of your of memories because your body today was killed. Things like that. And the void is basically your character just dies off. So we have a motivation. Now we have to pick a description. We're getting late here. So there are 12 descriptions. You'll see 6s and 12s done a lot here. Every time it's appropriate for you to use your description, you get a +1. Through character advancement, you can go up to +3. So your character, you can pick observant. We have observant, charming, convincing, intimidating, knowledgeable, precise. You may be graceful, aesthetic. You may be vigilant, enduring, athletic, and even muscular. And you get one of these descriptions. And through character advancement, you can either raise this up from +1 all the way to +3, or you can gain another one. And then you have vocations. Let me share out let's see. Only people with access can open the link. There we go. Let's see. Copy. And let me see if anybody can get into this, and paste. And I believe you'll be able to see it. but I don't believe you'll be able to edit it. Yeah. Because what are the other options? There we go. Oh, wait a minute. Um, there we go. Viewers and commenters can see the option to download, print, and copy. That's it. Shouldn't be able to edit it because it still is restricted. All right. At least that's what I'm sure. Pretty sure. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? Nah, let's go back. Well, just in case. Did I make a copy of it? I sure didn't. Uh, nope. Let's go back. Put me back here. 10 after. Blueprints. Sorry. I think I'm on page. Is it page 30? Yeah, this goes all the way down. All right. Death is temporary. Nova, Nebula, Void. That's when your character gets killed. We have our descriptions. Observant, charming. There we go. Shit. Fuck. Here we go. What the hell? Woo. Oh, man. All right. Back into the chat. So when I heathen says when people return, they are returning in adult bodies. That's up to the players, and you, how you return from death is up to you. It's going to be story related. So, for an example, a character could die by getting their head blown off. Literally, go to a suicide situation. The bad guy says bye bye and literally takes like a plasma gun and blows your character's brain off. Your character dies with a smoking crater for a head. How does the character come back from death? The character may come back from death because they have a copy of themselves somewhere else. Maybe they come back in the same body or a different body. There is literally a book called Voice of the Whirlwind with a main character who is a detective who's trying to uncover why he was killed, but he recovers from a 15-year-old copy of himself and realizes that he has interactions with people that are 15 years past what he even knows. And it's really bizarre. When Heathen says, any particular reason you chose 6 incarnations of a character? No, I just think 6 is divisible, 12's too much, 3's too few, and I wanted something easy to divide. And I thought it'd be kind of funny that, like, because in world somebody might be like, figure out that it feels like people only really pursue their lives about six out of 6 times, but we all remember like 9 lives, and it's like, yeah, well, you spent 3 of your lives getting here in the first place. So no specific reason, um, but it's a D12 system, and I think 12's too many, and below 6, I think it's too few, and I think 6 is just easily divisible. That's it. It's just uh, um there's no more logical reason. It's just a feeling. That makes sense. When Heathen says, in my game, you would return as an infant and have to go through all that growing up again. Reincarnation, the torture never ends. I gotta go through high school for the 6th time. Fuck. Yep. See if you can survive, because you won't. All right. Oops. Just make this a little bit bigger. And we have vocations. They're generalized skill groupings. If the vocation is applicable in the action, add +1 to an attribute or approach before any die roll. Same thing with your motivations. Same thing with your descriptions. If it's applicable, you add +1 to an attribute or approach before you roll the dice. You pick one, and then guess what? You get an opportunity to either increase it or gain more. So we have not sure which one I'm going to use, a flow coder or a hacktivist. It's basically a programmer. The internet is called the flow. It's very aquatic, oceanic in its descriptions about the internet and the flow of digital information. An enforcer, you're a combatant and you're a combatant. You have interrogation, intimidation skills. You enforce something. An infiltrator, an envoy. Not sure which one I'm going to use. You're either a podium or a mimetic, which is basically like drawing a crowd, oration, entertainment, um, public eye, the face, essentially. Mm, mm, mm. Investigator, engineer, Jesus, survivalist, criminal, guardian, saboteur, or a speculator. Speculator is like investing in things, developing things, organizing, funding endeavors. Um, could be corporate, very much corporate. It could be you could be a speculator for a small community that's just trying to survive on a small moon. You could be a speculator for digital information, things like that. Basically, finding information, whether it's black market, whether it is um, a new resource or something like that. And then we have our locations, and then we'll get out of here. Locations, basically the solar system, and this basically is like either where you've been born, where you grew up, or where you find yourself most highly related. So Solaran, Venusian, Terran, Lunarian, Martian, Asturian, Jovian, Saturnian, uh, Uranusian, not you're not Uranasian, Uranusian, Neptunian. This is pronounced Kuiperian because it's the Kuiper Belt, and Lagrangian. Lagrange points, cyclers living in the void, essentially. And of course, whenever you use it, you gain +1 when it's applicable. Did I just go dark? Anyway, so getting very late here, guys. Character creation. I think I get distracted too easily, and then connections. This is the last thing. This I'm sure this is Drew's part here. Um, your connections. It only fills one pocket. Pick a person, a place, and a thing. The star has an unbreakable relationship with the connection. It can be a weighty anchor, a tenuous thread, a tie made of tangled knots, or an ironclad bond. A star can recover 1d12 strive by engaging with their connection. This interaction need not be positive, such as having yet another argument and lasting rivalry with a sibling. The purpose is to continually reinforce investment with the setting and build a legacy outside the character. All connections fit in one pocket, very valuable yet fragile and easy to lose. It is encouraged for the stars to be in a constellation of shared connections. At least one person or people, place, or thing should be shared with another star, with the intent of linking every star to another, creating a gravity chain of remembrance and interactions. So, your connections are you have one pocket with your connections, and it's three. Pick a person, pick a person or type of people, pick a place, pick a thing. And when you interact with that, you can recover your strive. Um, so it could be a family photo. It, I got DBJ in my pocket, and the other hand's in the other pocket. You guys are so funny. DBJ, not too distracted. This session was pretty on topic in spite of the shitlord's efforts. Yeah, I've been reading. A button to watch prawn all day long. Yeah. Although, listen, they put my OnlyFans in the comedy section. So I make like probably hundreds of cents a day. You should see it. I should put my link in here. Uh, it must be Good Friday to other people. In the States, Good Friday is just before Easter Sunday. Yeah. You guys are so funny. So yes, connections are like I want players to feel like they're connected to the world. So maybe someone has a special place they visit on Mercury or in the Jovian system. Maybe there's someone they get online to that's special to them. Uh, Here's a unique connection that I liked in the 2049 Blade Runner movie. Our main character had a holographic girlfriend that makes a perfect. I'm going to make a list of some of these probably. No, I'm definitely going to make a list of these. He had a holographic. He purchased himself an off-the-shelf holographic girlfriend, and that was his connection. So Benoit says, "Nice overview. If I watch this a couple times, I might be able to play the game." Yeah, uh, yeah. Mm-mm-mm. So, last bit. Foundations. Ooh, and we're gonna breeze through this. Foundation is your physical body, your form, your frame, your jacket. The base setting in Obsidian Star dictates a character has only one foundation until death takes place, in which case you get to pick another one if you want to. There are two other options granting players the ability to change a star's form. Each option brings ever more complexity and power multiplication. So you can either be stable, where in your game, your player characters, a star has a near permanent foundation. They can't alter or make any changes. The star can return to play only after all the necessary work is completed to shift the star from one foundation to its new foundation. Basically, let's say the player is a human being, their character dies, and they want to come back as a android of some sort, an auton, automaton, which is called an auton in this world. They can come back to play, but they're going to have to do all the legwork to do the math to figure out what their new character's form is like before they can even come back. Um, there's two more options, which is fluid, which is the star can acquire a new foundation at 3 points in a setting: before each mission, during the advancement phase, and after death. So if the GM and the spiral arm wants a new dynamic, they can offer the PCs a chance to take on a new foundation, basically zip into a new jacket. So let's say there's a mission into an aquatic world. Maybe on that mission, all the players get to pick a new aquatic form so they can swim in this aquatic world, like on Europa or Enceladus or Earth's oceans or something like that. And the option number 2 is fusion. The star has access to new jackets. The only limit to zipping into a new jacket are the availability of jackets and the availability of technology that can zip the cortical stack into the new frame. So basically, the players go on a mission to the moon. Player character is a machine. They say, I want to rent a biological body for the evening, something beautiful I'm going to entice the CEO and sneak into his room, and he's going to invite me there because I'm going to pretend that I like him. And that might be part of the mission. And in a fusion setting, the character has the ability to do that in the middle of the game to switch their body. The game Eclipse phase, the fusion option is base level in Eclipse phase. I'm making this an optional rule because it can be a little complex when players are mixing and matching bodies and minds too much. So lastly, here's our list. It's a long list. Sorry. There has to be a way for me to limit this down, but I don't know how to do it. Well, I do know it's going to take me a little while. So Cro-Mags are pre-humans. They're basically Neanderthalic human beings that were created as a labor force. They're kind of underestimated and treated like furniture. They are tough and mentally stunted, genetically created to be stunted. A Remo, if you want to be a Remo, you're a remote operator. You're surrounded by drones. They're both loved and loathed because they're away from the danger. A Kresh is a clone society. Oh shit! I'm not going to bring up the artwork. You're a clone and you live in a society of other clones. A neuroforge is a person with your techno neural punk. Basically, you insert chips in your brain that give you different personalities and different skills when needed. Um, the Azore, they call themselves the Azore as a culture. They're basically the docent. They're plastic biohumans that are living bioplastic, and they are another labor force used as like kind of more like high class servants, essentially. Farmers are humans with glands that produce pheromones, acids, poisons. You have glands inside your body that produce very strange chemicals that you can use and give to, or excrete and give to others and such. Cybrids are cybernetic human beings. There are some cybrids that are nothing but a skull, maybe a chest and some internal organs, and they just have different types of cybernetic limbs attached to them. Many cybrids will have like a cybernetic five-fingered cybernetic hand plus a couple of tools and a weapon that's inside plus a cybernetic leg that's got a gun in it, a cybernetic eye or something. Your cybrids. Zeros are people that suffer from a viral contagion that removes all their digital information, their entire digital footprint. While that seems sweet if you're a spy, it also means that you're at the bottom rung of society because you don't have any digital background. So nobody knows who you are or where you came from. You can't hold any digital money or housing, investment laws. See, I put it down here, travel, that kind of stuff. Arden are adrenal monks. They control their adrenal system, both advancing it and dumping adrenaline into their system or reducing it by feigning death, healing, heart rates, stuff like that. Genomancers have a genetic disease that causes uncontrolled mutation. Genomancers can control the mutations, so they could grow. They can let their hand fall off and have it walk around. They can pluck their eye out. They can grow an extra set of lungs. Pretty nasty stuff. But they can also copy someone's DNA. They can temporarily make their skin look like somebody else's and then slough it off later on. That kind of thing. Zeniths are perfect people. Everyone hates them, but they also vie for them. They're strong, fast, beautiful, alluring, brilliant, but they kind of don't have a soul. So they need an oath, a code of conduct, a person to follow, or a mission to accomplish. The Intellites are mental giants, basically big skull people, all brains, no body. Novus are humans 2.0. They look like the aliens from Area 52. The Agi are general artificial intelligences. 64 of them take on a physical form and explore the world. You can be one of them. The Simeon are like monkey-like humans. Are they monkey and ape-like with human faces, or are they humans with monkey bodies? The answer is yes, and they operate in zero gravity. The Drow are gender fluid. They either don't have a gender or they can pick any gender they want. This was created for freedom, but it has been, of course, been assimilated by people that are bad actors as well. So some people are proud to be Dro, and others find it very horrible, and any combination in between. The Verdant are plant-like humans. They have a plant-like genetic modifications. They produce oxygen. They can go into hibernation, and they have a long lifespan and do not suffer psychological harm on long space journeys. Mariners are aquatically adapted human beings, again living in the aquatic moons like Enceladus and Europa and Earth's oceans. There's the feral, who are spliced humans with predatory animals like tigers, wolves, bears, um, uh, reptiles, and snakes. The Metallum are crystalline human beings, and then there's Autons, and that's it. All right. Woo! Fuck. We're done. There we go. Obsidian Star. When I say, yep, now I'm going to go to bed. All right, guys. Make sure to take the guac with you. The stuff of like, oh, you guys are so silly. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for being part of the show. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much for tolerating me. I am actually going to take um, Hunt Shy Squad's um, hint and do very very small versions of this. So like no more than 5 to 10 minutes long, and break all this separately, and then we'll get into it. And then again, this will be Future Fridays. I already see like at least a dozen locations, dozen D12 things that I can change just reading the document itself. Even though I tried to make it simple, it's kind of complicated. So I'm going to break that off as well, and probably separate the fluff from the crunch. Not sure. Anyway, guys, everyone have a great one. Have a great weekend. Happy last day of another arbitrary fraction of eternity. I love it. All right, guys, though. You guys take it easy. I will see you later. Peace and tranquility.